Welcome to Veterans United, a program sponsored by the Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. I'm Nick Howland, Navy veteran, your host, and Executive Director of the Firewatch. In this program, you'll meet 2 or 3 veterans who will share their challenges and experiences since leaving active duty. You'll also meet a couple civilians who are doing great things for veterans here in Northeast Florida. In the meantime, you can help. There's a role for everybody. Visit thefirewatch.org and register as a watchstander. Learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis. Learn to get veterans the help they need. Together, we can end veteran suicide here in Northeast Florida. Enjoy the program. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minute Salute, where we highlight the great work that veterans are doing here in Northeast Florida. I'm Nick Howland, your host and Executive Director of the Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. We have an amazing guest today. I'm really excited about this one. It's Wolf Critton, who many of you have potentially seen on TikTok with his 244,000 followers. Visit Wolf Critton at TikTok and you'll see what he does. He's helping veterans who have PTSD get the help they need. Wolf, thanks for being here. What a pleasure for us to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's very humbled. I'm loving what you guys are doing, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, you're an Army veteran, 10 years, and you told me you have 100% service disconnected. And your mission in life is to help veterans with PTSD and help them get the help they need. How are you doing that?
Definitely Mission 22 is where I'm at in my life. So through TikTok and other various channels, I tend to be reached out to and in turn respond to veterans dealing with similar situations of depression, anxiety, and their service in combat and so on, and not having anybody they can communicate with. And I've kind of picked up that role of being the person they can call 3 a.m. in the morning and so on.
It's amazing. I mean, and what you're doing on TikTok, when you get the comments and you respond and you give out your number and you talk to those people till 3 in the morning and you get them help they need is what we're trying to achieve in our Watchstander program, but it's kind of like you're a robo Watchstander. You know, it's like you're going the extra step. You're helping people directly, taking their hand and getting them the help they need, and you're staying up till 3 in the morning talking with some of these folks.
And it's, I mean, I also want to put like in perspective that it genuinely helps me as well. So it really is like just a unit coming together. Yeah. Them talking to me as well helps me and keeps reminding me that I'm not alone.
Right.
So it really is a hand-in-hand relationship with whoever I'm communicating with at that moment.
For sure. Wolf, how did you get into it?
The TikTok world. So COVID, you know, one thing you learn with the military is that, not the military, excuse me, with PTSD is that sitting alone and being in your own thoughts is probably one of the worst scenarios you can place yourself in. COVID hit, everything closed down. I couldn't go rock climbing. I pretty much couldn't get anywhere on my bike because everything was closed down. Yeah. And a fellow veteran suggested TikTok. He said, "Oh yeah, check it out. It's hilarious, you know." And I'm, you know, next thing you know, you just playing a guitar. You know, I don't know. It just it was entertaining. It kept me out of my head. Yeah. I decided to post a video about me on my bike. Next thing you know, I'm posting and sharing about myself and found that there's a whole world on TikTok of fellow veterans and patriots alike.
Were you surprised when your followers started to grow exponentially?
That's an understatement. Yeah. It's, you know, these things, there was like, oh my goodness, like, look at this. And I'm showing my wife, she's laughing with me, and it's like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And she's like, yeah, you know, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously what I'm doing in life resonates with other veterans, and that's what I'm all about. So
100%.
Sticking to that life.
I mean, don't you think that the amazing success that your TikTok channel has had, not only in getting followers, but in finding veterans who are at risk and getting them help they need by virtue of your channel? Yeah,
and again, that's why I say, like, first you think it's TikTok's just like this entertainment space, and then you find out there's this whole world. And it's amazing. You know, when I was going through my hardest times, my PTSD, there wasn't a TikTok. There was
No.
nobody I could talk to. I couldn't reach out to my other members and my units because they were doing their thing. And this is like, it's provided such an opportunity for all of us veterans to kind of get together and
100%.
relate to each other.
In a strange way. I mean, particularly for the 18 to 34-year-old group who probably is more familiar with using TikTok and has the highest suicide rates among veterans.
Oh, yeah.
You're almost duplicating what our grandparents had in the American Legion, the VFWs. They had a place to go where they might run into someone who could give them help if they needed it, or who could identify that they were at risk and give them help. You're replicating that electronically through social media.
I never even looked at it like that. You're right. It's I'm so like most veterans focused on this mission that I'm really not stopping to look at myself.
Right.
More so what I'm doing. It's like it's humbling with everybody reaching out to me and alike. I've reached out to a few veterans myself.
Absolutely.
Via TikTok, just like, hey, I need someone to talk to. And it's, again, you kind of like, as a veteran and a serviceman, when you join, you want to be something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
And, this definitely gives you that perspective of there's so many of us, there's so many other veterans like me online doing the same thing and reaching, and the span is amazing. It's something we would have never knew 10 years ago, that there were so many out there that were going through the same scenarios and lifestyles. And
I can't say enough how much you're helping people. I mean, you have a quote that you've said before, which is, there is no chain of command in the civilian world.
Yeah.
So people who are used to that, the teammate, the shipmate, the connectedness you have in the service, when they get out, they lose that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're also losing that structure, which they've come to know so well.
Exactly.
And by developing social media mediums like you have, in other ways, you're providing a way for people to kind of reconnect and maybe put a little bit more structure or interest or connectedness back into their
Again, and as you know, like, especially when you leave a war zone,
yeah,
the chain of command is everything. And like you said, once that dissipates and just like crumbles when you get back to the stateside, and then on the same time, since you have no chain of command, everything around you can feel like friendly fire.
Yeah.
Where you just feel like you're being attacked from all angles and you don't know who it's from.
Yeah.
You're not in uniform, so you take it personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, that's TikTok lets you see these other veterans, and it gives you someone to talk to. It gives you that, all right, this is Bravo squad, that's Charlie squad, and you really just, like you said, you feel all that, and it comes back together. It's amazing.
How can people find your channel?
Just look my name up, Wolf Critton. Last name Critton. By all means, drop a line. If you have a problem, talk to me. I'm always here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wolf, thanks for being on our show, and more importantly, thanks for what you're doing not only for Northeast Florida veterans, but veterans nationwide.
Back at you guys. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of 5 Minute Salute. That one was with Wolf Critton. You can reach him on his TikTok channel. What an amazing episode. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. We're recruiting community members to learn the risk signs of veterans in crisis and how to get veterans the help they need. Wolf is a robo watchstander. You don't need to go to that level of commitment, but anything you can do to help veterans get the resources they need would be wonderful. Visit thefirewatch.org, and thanks again for joining us.
Hey family, welcome back to Buzzworthy Veterans. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. Today I have the honors of sitting next to Benjamin Matthews with Skillstorm Commercial Services. Benjamin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, tell me about your military service, because we talked a little bit offline. I'm super excited because we have some of the same juice going. So tell me about it.
Sure. So I spent 8 years on active duty in the Army, and I was a medic in the Army. Decided to transition out of active duty, went to law school, missed being in the military, missed being in the club. So I went back into the reserves, this time in the Air Force. I'm an Air Force reservist, and I'm a JAG officer right now, currently.
That's awesome. And as some of our family members already know, that I did 9 years active as a corpsman, which is equivalent to, the term and stuff to a medic in the Army. And I got out, and I'm in the reserves as well now too. So I love that we have that kind of dynamic and stuff. Tell me, what was it? Why did you get out? What was that point that said, I think it's time?
So 8 years in, you have to make a decision around that time in the military.
Because you get to 10,
that you're
you're stuck.
you got to do it. So, at that time, I decided, I wanted to go to law school. So always figured I'd come back in. So it wasn't a goodbye. It was I'll see you soon.
See, I love it. I love it. I love that mindset. We can't let them go, but we're just going to make it work for us. And
Yes.
law school was a way for you to connect back into it and join the reserves. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me about Skillstorm Commercial Services.
So we are an IT consulting company, and we build tech teams, right, for our clients. And we have a couple of different ways that we do that. And we encourage veterans and transitioning service members to become software engineers. Because about 70% of transitioning service members want to get into tech. And there's not 70% of the service members that are in tech while they're in the military, right? So we have different training programs to train service members to become software engineers.
Wow, that's awesome. And so I was talking with you a little bit about your connection with the veteran community as a whole. And as you can, Buzzworthy Veterans, we love veterans. Our goal and our mission, part of it is to show veterans that while you're in, you have your brothers and sisters, and we all fear when we get out that we're going to lose that. But it's actually, there's a whole veteran community that they're your brothers and sisters as well, and we're here for you, and we're thriving. And it might not have been an easy road to get there, but we're here. How do you communicate and connect with the veteran community?
So we are very connected with veterans. So we work with the VA very closely. We are a Vet Tech Employer Consortium founding member.
Nice.
So we work with the VA in that way. We have a Department of Labor registered apprenticeship for transitioning service members to become IT software apprentices.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we work with all sorts of different organizations, hiring our heroes to hire transitioning service members. We work with Marines for Life, Soldier for Life, Airmen for Life. We're working with Wounded Warriors. We're talking to Operation New Uniform now so that we can, create a partnership with them. So if there's a veteran organization that helps veterans get into tech or transitioning service members who want to get into tech, we're working with them, or we're going to work with them.
That's awesome. How did you particularly get involved with Skills?
So I'm the general counsel there. So I'm the company lawyer.
Nice.
But because I have military, the executive leadership of the company, really wanted to make a push to hire veterans and transitioning service members. As a matter of fact, we have a goal this year that we're going to hire 250 service members and transitioning service members and veterans.
I love it.
And so they said, "Hey Ben, we know that you're a service member now. How do we get in front of this community to say, hey, look, you've got all the soft skills and a lot of the attributes that make great software engineers, and we can teach you the tech. So how do we get them to come to us?"
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I love it. And I'm glad you're here on Buzzworthy Veterans to get that message out there. If anybody wanted to get involved with your company, potentially apply for these programs you speak of, how can they go about doing that?
So there are a couple different ways that they can do that. They can work with Hiring Our Heroes to do a DoD Skill Bridge program with us. We are a DoD Skill Bridge provider ourselves.
That's important because that just came, I remember when I was transitioning out a couple of years ago, and that had just came on the market, like the scene. It has been there, but it was never really talked about.
Right.
So I remember when we had to apply, and you had to look for internships, and some of them are not there. So that is awesome that you are a Skill Bridges company to help them with that.
Yeah, so they can go to our website, so www.skillstorm.com. And we have all of our different programs on there, as well as a learning management system that we call Storm Surge. So if you have to take a tech screen, and if you show the aptitude, then we can get you into one of our training programs. If you're not quite there yet, we provide free training. So we have micro courses that provide free training that'll give you the foundations that you can take. And if you do those foundational courses, you should get through our tech screen, no problem.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I have no desire to go into IT because I'm not IT savvy, but I love your mission. I love the company already, and I love what you're doing for our veterans out there and our transitioning members. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks again for having me.
All right, family, that's going to do it for this episode of Buzzworthy Veterans. If you want to know more about Skillstorm Commercial Services, please visit iwannabuzz.com. Remember, always vets, always family. I'll see you next time. I'm Ant Stroud.
Thursday at Buzz TV. It's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, time once again for The Horse's Mouth, our Veterans-themed edition right here on Buzz TV. And, of course, right here at Tommy Mac's place where we talk a little bit about being a veteran and being in business and all the good things that come to mind. Larry Selzo is back. How are you, Larry?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, my man. Jonathan Lee is here. Jonathan, welcome. First
Thank
time
you. Yes.
to the bar. Welcome. And our old friend, Wally, not old friend, but our friend, Wally Conway.
I'm aging
We've been
nicely.
friends a long time. You are. You absolutely are. First and foremost, cheers to what you've done for our great country.
Absolutely.
And the service you guys have brought to the table. 2 Navy guys and an Air Force guy, Larry. I don't know. Can we all get along?
I think we all get along.
We can all get along. All right, Jonathan, tell us your story. You grew up, your parents were in the Navy?
Dad was in the Navy.
Dad was in the Navy.
Yeah, 23 years.
Okay.
My whole family history is military, going all the way back to the Civil War. So
No kidding.
it was just a natural course of action for me to join the military. We moved here in the late 90s, right after my dad retired.
Okay.
And I joined the year after we moved here.
Okay. Were you out of high school or how old were you?
I actually dropped out of high school early. I was going to a kind of a rough school over on the other side of town, and
Okay.
And the curriculums were different from Virginia to Florida, so they were saying you were going to have to stay in school for another year. And
Okay.
I knew I was going to the military when I got out anyway, so I went to FCCJ at the time, which is now
Yes.
FCCJ.
Yeah.
Did the early high school completion.
Oh, wow,
and got my
cool.
high school diploma early and joined the Navy at 17 years old.
Okay. So you're in Norfolk before you came down here? Is that correct?
Father was stationed in Norfolk.
Okay.
We lived in Suffolk, just
Okay.
outside there.
Okay, great. And how'd you choose Navy? Because your dad was in the Navy? Was this kind of a natural?
I think
or?
so. Growing up in the 80s, Top Gun, man. You know,
It's coming out this summer. I can't
I'm
wait.
super stoked.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of guys, a lot of friends that are still active duty who kind of got to meet up with them out there while
Oh,
I was
really?
doing a lot of the filming and stuff.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Really cool. I was always fascinated with planes growing up, going to the air shows. My father used to always take me to the air shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was fascinated with aviation and flying and engines. So I
Okay.
said, I want to work on jet engines, and
Okay.
that's what I did.
Were you like a crew chief or
I was
something?
a jet engine mechanic.
Jet engine
Right.
mechanic.
But I didn't get to work on any of the sexy planes.
Oh.
I went straight out of A school. I started working on helicopters out in Mayport, which
Okay.
they're kind of cool.
Yeah,
we
heck yeah.
did some deployments on the smaller ships, so a lot of rock and rolling, heavy seas and stuff like that. Some pretty
Yep.
cool stuff. And went from that to P3s,
Wow.
which were the,
Yeah.
the prop planes there at NAS.
Yeah, he's talking your language over there,
Did
boss.
those-
Helicopter guy.
That's right. That's right.
If you
I
can't
know.
fly backwards, you can't really fly.
I hear you on that one.
No kid, running too. You got to run backwards
That's it,
sometimes.
right?
That's for sure. So, what'd you do in the Navy? What was your main expertise?
Expertise mainly jet
Just-
engine mechanics.
Oh,
Yep.
just jet. That's right. Working on the engines.
Just
Man, that's
working
incredible.
on jet engines. Yep.
My brother was in the Air Force. I've said this. He was a crew chief on the F-15s, I think, or
Oh, right.
F-16s. I can't remember. And I was like, man, how do you fix a jet engine? Like, I'm playing football my whole life, but like a jet engine. Like, how do you even think of fixing something like that?
Contrary to popular belief, they're actually easier to work on than cars.
Really?
Yeah, in my personal experience, I do a lot of work on cars and stuff as well. I don't know if it's the better tools and equipment, the better training, you know,
Okay.
but things are a little bit more easier to get to for the most part. There's some areas where it's kind
They're
of
designed to be worked on.
Yeah.
Right.
They're designed to be
Oh,
worked on and
right.
maintained, doing incredible things with a guy 19 years old or a lady 19 years old taking care of it. They were designed to be worked on.
Yeah, no
Not the
doubt.
case with your car.
Right.
Not
No, right. You forget about the car for a few thousand miles. You can't do that with a jet.
Well, yeah,
jet.
our F-15s are all 1970s planes that just continuously we worked on.
Wow.
From the parts, engines to sheet metal. So
Wow.
they're just continuously, maintained.
Right, because you have your hourly inspections and your calendar inspections, so everything's on a big schedule there, and
Wow.
you don't have any. You can't pull off to the side of the road when you're up there in 30,000 feet. So
That's right. And now you're an entrepreneur. You have your own business in the
Yes.
photography space. Tell us about that.
So I got into photography while in the military
Okay.
and decided during my career that I wanted to make that my next career moving forward. Unfortunately, my military career was forced to an early end. I had to retire early at 16 years
Okay.
due to government cutbacks in 2011, 2012, and went straight into government contracting. I did that for about 5 years and quickly realized that I'm not cut out for the corporate world.
Yeah.
I was never much of a yes man,
Right.
And I kind of go.
You got to take a little to get a
I kind of
little.
go against the grindstone a little bit. So I knew I wanted to kind of cast out on my own and do my own thing, and the knowledge that I had in photography, it just seemed like a natural step to jump out. It was a really scary step, as any entrepreneur would say.
Yeah, right.
To jump into it, but it kind of pushed me in the right direction, and I've gone from taking pictures of people to taking pictures of houses.
Yep.
And honest to God, I love it more than anything I've done.
Houses don't talk back. Houses don't tell you, oh, can you move this board?
That's right.
It's a lot easier.
They hold still, that's for sure.
That's right. So you see the beauty in everything through your lens, I guess.
I do. And everything from double wides on dirt roads to multi-million-dollar mansions, on the coastline.
Wow.
And everything in between.
Yep.
A lot of my friends see some of the pictures I post online, and they're like, "Man, you get to go in all these really cool houses." And I'm like, well, "You didn't see the double wide that I just shot on the dirt road that I got almost stuck in the mud driving down to."
Yeah, right.
Are these photos for the customers or for appraisals, or
so mainly the people that I work with are the real estate agents.
Okay.
The agents themselves hire me to come in and do the listing photos for them.
Yep.
And naturally, I've kind of branched off from doing just photography to doing virtual tours, especially with everything being the way it is now. People not wanting to walk and talk and meet and greet. Virtual tours, do a lot of video work and aerial work as well. So I'm still staying in the air a little bit.
Yeah, good.
I still see on a daily basis real estate agents taking their own pictures, loading them to MLS. And when the agent did it themselves, because in the picture of the bathroom, they show up in the mirror. So what do you say to that agent or the customer who hires that agent?
Yeah, right.
So honestly, when I first started doing photography full time, real estate wasn't even in my thought process.
Yeah.
It kind of popped up. A friend of mine mentioned it to me, and I said, "Well, this will help me fill in the gaps between the weddings and the portraits and things like that come a little few and far in between."
Yeah.
And I thought, this is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel, because everybody knows a realtor or 10.
Sure.
Yeah. And I thought for sure I'm going to start making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you basically got to browbeat a real estate agent to get them to understand. Stop taking pictures with your cell phone.
That's right.
I try to explain that you're selling somebody's most likely their most valuable possession.
Yeah.
And you're approaching
emotional one too.
Right. You're approaching it with a marketing sense of, well, let me just whip out this cell phone that everybody else has.
Yep.
Your client can do that for you. What are you bringing to the table?
Right.
That your client can't already do themselves. Why don't they just do it for sale by owner?
Yeah. How challenging is it in this market today? Because all I hear is houses go so quick. The minute they're listed, the minute they're gone. Is it challenging for a guy like you to try to get in there in between? Like, hey, you still need great pictures, right? To showcase this asset.
So one of the great things about being a full-time photographer is I have a lot of flexibility. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of my clients like working with me, is because I don't try to beat them over the head with rescheduling fees. And I understand it's a very fluid market. Okay. So I try to be there pretty much at their beck and call. And that's one of the reasons why they love working. It's kind of that military mindset. Yep. You've got to be, you can't be flexible, because if you bend, you're eventually going to break. You got to be fluid. Yep. So I try to be as fluid as I can. And this market has it's been really crazy, because it's very ebb and flow. Yep. It's very fluctuating. 1 week I'm so busy I can't sit down. And the next week, I'm sitting there staring at my phone, waiting for it to rain. So it's kind of been up and down. Luckily, I've continued to increase my sales throughout, the 4 years and throughout 2020.
Talk about, because we have a lot of veterans on this show, like you guys. They often talk about the transition. But one of the keys, it seems, is you figure out what you want to do while you're still in the military,
right?
And then get out and then go do it. Was that a big key for you as far as transitioning from the military life to civilian life?
Right. So my transition was probably a little bit more unorthodox than what most people expected. I went from, thinking I have this amazing military career.
Yep.
I was literally sitting on a bus in Isa, Bahrain, getting ready to fly back for my last Middle Eastern deployment, 6-month deployment, when I was pulled off and told, hey, they're forcing you out of the military. Damn. So I had to quickly go, okay, now what am I going to do? Because I wasn't one of those guys that, did all my college courses and stuff while I was in the military.
Yep.
I was trying to wait until I got up into the senior ranks to where I had a little bit more time to play with versus, hey, you guys go change the motor. I'm going to college. I'm going to class.
Right.
I'm taking care of me.
Right.
I was very much, about holding the team, helping the team out. So I didn't have that same opportunity, I guess, to sit back and go, what do I want to do with my life? What am I going to do when I grow up?
Yeah.
I just assumed that I was going to be in the military for 20 to 30 years. That was my goal.
Right.
I wanted to make my way up through the ranks, go warrant officer, maybe even LDO.
Okay.
So that changed things a lot.
You don't hear that story. We haven't heard that story. Forced out of the military was something that's been a career for you.
Right.
That's wild.
And it's crazy too because about a year or two after the fact, the military realized they made a mistake. They let too many people go.
Okay.
Originally, they were doing a thing called an enlisted review board. They were going to start trimming some of the fat away. From what they said, they were getting rid of people that had disciplinary problems, couldn't pass their physical fitness assessments and things like this.
Right.
I thought for sure I was safe. But they kind of, instead of doing that, they went by different year groups, and it was just this big, to-do thing that they did. And I, unfortunately, was one of the ones where I got caught.
Yeah, but hats off to you for bouncing back, landing on your feet, and finding a passion, Jonathan. That's phenomenal.
If the military taught me anything, it's that.
That's great.
Again, be fluid.
That's right.
Be fluid, because if you're not, you're going to break.
And find the beauty in everything.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Cheers to that. Exactly. I love that. All right, guys. Thanks so much again for your service and for being here on The Horse's Mouth. That's going to do it for us this time around. Brought to you by thefirewatch.org, a veteran suicide prevention program that we are very honored to talk about here on this show. Until next time, be safe out there, stay cool, and we'll see you right here on The Horse's Mouth. Cheers.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Veterans United. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. There's a role for everybody. Join us as a watchstander. Visit thefirewatch.org and learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis, how to ask veterans if they need help, and how to get veterans the help they need. Together, we will end veteran suicide. The Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. Today is military... Okay, it was going so well.